seconds because that's the way this process works. Hey guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this channel. Don't forget to check me out at twitter.com/Lore Reloaded, especially if you like me to be a little more, if you want to see the real more talking. We discuss all kinds of things from cool memes or memes, as some would call them, all the way up to politics. It's a lot of fun, as well as twitch.tv/Lore Reloaded. Though I'm going to be honest, I'm on the fence of using Twitch. I may just create a live streaming YouTube. I'm not sure where that's going. We'll see in the near future. With that out of the way, let's say hi to a couple people. We got Polal, of course. Mariah Sinclair in the house. Never a complete party until Nova Snowpaw and Andrew Maddox is here. Glad to see you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button. And remember, the like button is more scared of you than you are of it. And, of course, if you want to help out the channel, don't forget to consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Lore Reloaded, hitting that join button, just like becoming a Patreon. Or you can also do Super Chats or do the PayPal link or tip link. If you do the tip link, it'll actually say words for you. It's kind of fun. It's memes if you're metal. Okay, so it's memes. Not memes, not memes, but memes, they say. So let's just break it down. Let's get into it. We got VX Gaming in the house. What is going on with you, good sir? So a couple of things to really get into. First off, apparently a Discovery writer was fired for saying some naughty words. A couple of people have asked me about that, to break it down and give my opinion based on the response that a lot of people have given to Ketwalski. I'm not completely convinced you guys are going to like what I have to say. So, I don't know. We'll get into it. We can have that discussion. Then, of course, we can talk about the USS Centaur and how he's actually really a hero when you think about it. Like, just a huge hero, you know. All right, so for those who haven't been keeping up on the link, what is going on? David Deister and Michael Lindsay. Don't know if I said hi to you or not. But for those who haven't been keeping up with it or have been under a rock, author, and this is from HollywoodReporter.com, you know, just real journalism, not fake news or anything. Author Walter Mosley quits Star Trek Discovery after using N-word in the writer's room. So let's break that down. Let's just get into it. Producers CBS TV Studios responded to the acclaimed writer and author in a statement provided to The Hollywood Reporter. We are committed to supporting a workplace where employees feel free to express concerns and where they feel comfortable performing their best work. So, you know, I'll go ahead and read this, but my understanding is, and you guys keep me honest on this, but basically, Walter Mosley was talking about something that happened to him in his past, where he was referred to as a not-so-nice name, and all of a sudden, somebody went to HR, HR went to him, and he didn't apologize, and he was saying that he was not going to listen to what they had to say, that he's going to say his word. And then they said, well, sorry, we can't have you if you're going to say words like this. I'll go ahead and read it to make sure that's where we're at, but ultimately that's my understanding of what occurred. So author Walter Mosley penned an op-ed for the New York Times, published on Friday, in which he revealed that he quit his job. He wasn't fired, he quit, I'm sorry. He quit his job as a writer on a television series after he was chastised by human resources for using the N-word on the job. Although Mosley, who is black, because that matters, did not reveal which show he departed, sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that it was CBS All Access Star Trek Discovery. That series, renewed in February for its third season with its third showrunner, has experienced serious issues of abusive language in its writer's room in the past. Okay. Sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that Season 3 showrunners Alex Kurtzman, who sources say personally recruited Mosley to the Discovery room, and Michelle Paradise were informed of the complaint via human resources, but were not present for the incident in which Mosley allegedly used the N-word multiple times. Sources note that HR called Mosley to inform the acclaimed writer and novelist that typical use of that word was a fireable offense, but there was to be no course of action taken against him. Instead, HR informed Mosley that a writer in the room was uncomfortable with it and effectively wanted to ensure he was aware of the studio's policy. So, there's more to it, and I can keep going if you guys want me to. But ultimately, he, Michael Lindsay, there's actually likes. Hit the refresh, but there's 50 and only 16 likes. Why don't we have 50 likes? But, girls, I'm recording. We've talked about this. Let's discuss that for a second. Here's where a lot of people are going to get upset. I honestly am not. I'm honest, and it doesn't. Honestly, his race doesn't matter. I don't know why Hollywood Reporter thinks that. I mean, I know why I know why Hollywood Reporter finds that to be valued information. But in this scenario, I don't necessarily think that the race matters. I can see in other scenarios why it might, but in this one, I honestly don't. In a working environment, there are things that you just can't do or you just can't say. They pay you to do a job. They pay you to act a certain way. And if you don't want to do it, you don't get paid. Welcome to capitalism. And so a lot of people are getting like really upset about this or yelling fair use or not fair use, yelling freedom of speech, which is not how that works. And thinking it's the end of the world. Of course, you have the usual suspects that say anything means the end of discovery or how totalitarian it is. But you also have some more reasonable elements, I would say, who are getting upset about this. Personally, and I'm open to the conversation. I'm open to being convinced why I'm wrong. Personally, I don't see either side being wrong here. Human Resources, Star Trek Discovery company, doesn't want that word said when they're paying people and on their property. Mosley wants to say that and doesn't think it should be an issue. Mosley leaves and the company is okay with it. Or the company could have fired him if he wanted to stay and says he wasn't he wasn't allowed to do it. Seems like this is how this is supposed to work. So and I say that honestly when it comes to this channel. I get a lot of guff because I'm not as professional as Space Doc. I'm not as professional as who are they? Eckhart's Ladder, and I forget, just whoever. And my point is that if you don't like it, I get it. You don't have to watch my stuff. You don't have to support the channel. And people who really have an issue with it walk away, and that costs me money. That means that I'm not able to do my job as efficiently. But that's just the way it works. That's the way these things go. You like it, you stay. You don't like it, you leave. And people lose out. A lot of people are upset and saying that this was wrong. I simply don't understand why or how. I would be interested in the defense of this. And I'm not necessarily a call-in or anything, but if you guys would like to comment on why you think it's right. I haven't really found any specific good argument for why Discovery is in the wrong here. And I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. You guys don't want to talk about that for a long time. We don't have to. But it just kept coming up, and people asked me my opinion. And that's it. I think that it's the way it was worked. That's the way it happens. Make sense of the augments. Make sense of the augments, then, please, says M. What do you mean by make sense of the augments? Trek Cannon says, okay, saying the N-word for a black person versus anyone else does make a big difference. Disagree in this situation. Second, I agree with workforce rules and the repercussions of violating them, but it's wrong. What's wrong, Trek Cannon? Walk me through that. First off, if it's in the workplace, it doesn't matter who says it or what color they are. If it's not allowed, then I think it would be wrong to have a double standard there. So I'm curious why you think that it's okay to have a double standard. Now, if we move into the real world, if we moved in outside of a business setting, because of, at least, especially for the United States, but most anybody is actually culpable for this. Because of the history and historical context, I do think that there is a rationale for why it might be okay for some people to say it and not others. Trek Kenneth says why it wasn't the word he used. It was more his coworkers going behind his back to get him in trouble. This was something that could have been talked to between the two. I disagree. I disagree completely, Trek Kenneth. There's no reason. So what if a person was uncomfortable with a word, again, in the workplace, a person is uncomfortable with a word being used, but is not of confrontational sort, doesn't like having one-on-one conversations, just doesn't want to put themselves in that situation, so they go and talk to human resources and walk through it. I don't see any problem with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. There's no reason to put yourself in that situation, and there's every reason to just let human resources know and let them deal with it. In the Discovery Writers Room, they're there to write stories for Star Trek Discovery. They're not there to discuss the finer points of cultural integrity and impacts of words on society. So I don't think it's not cowardly to not want to get into a confrontation. You don't have to, or to be even put into a situation that is unnecessary. That's just my opinion. VX Gaming, and see, this is something that comes up a lot. Freedom of speech versus workplace speech. So for those who didn't know, before this, I actually had a channel that was more political, more law. I also have an associate in what is now considered criminal justice, though it wasn't called that at the time. I also have also did a lot of, I have a minor in fair use just because of what I do. I actually went and got a degree for it. Free speech keeps the government from, in the United States, free speech keeps the government from locking you up for things that would be considered wrongthink. But it does not it does not allow you to say things on private property or when you're being employed. So it's not a freedom of speech issue at all. Alex Armour, love the channel, great content. I love you, Alex. Hey, we're live.
I know you like me so much. Hey, Dad, did you film that thing, that story?
I haven't put it online yet, but they'll see it soon.
Oh, well, what we're talking about is a video entirely about me talking about a bully story. Just me in the clip. You might hear some "ing" in the background. Just ignore it. If you hear that, it's not the background, it's the video.
Okay.
Anyway, gotta go. Love you guys. So.
You have to say something quick or.
Well, my unicorn horn was broke, and I can fix it.
What's broke?
This.
Oh, the unicorn? Yeah, we'll fix the unicorn.
Yeah.
Okay. Love you.
And I love you.
Love you too.
I love you, have a great day.
Okay. So freedom of speech within a business or a company just isn't the same as freedom of speech when it comes to the government. It's not a retail environment, it's a writer's room. How are you going to tell compelling stories without rubbing somebody the wrong way, says Michael Wells. That's unfair. What's going on, Vile Mike? That is unfair. There's a difference between telling a story and writing a compelling plot, possibly utilizing words of that sort, and then just talking about your background. Or using the word in a story that you're writing yourself, which is what he was doing. This wasn't related to, from my understanding, he wasn't trying to put this in the story or talk about it in the story. He was relating to what occurred to him. Now, maybe he was trying to relate it to a plot they were going to do in the future, but still, it's fundamentally different. I would also say, again, based on the article we just read, they said, hey, this is a fireable offense, but we're just letting you know this is uncomfortable. They didn't want you to say that. Can we not say in the future? And he got offended and quit. So even if it was brought up in the context of a story, the business can say, hey, we don't want you to write stories like this. Now, I would agree. that saying you can't use this in your stories limits what you can write, and possibly could stop greatness in an episode. I would agree with that. Second Fleet, actually, I disagree with you as regards to free speech as a concept versus First Amendment protections thereof. What do you disagree? It's enshrined in the Constitution. That's exactly what I said. Freedom of speech is to prevent the government from locking you up for wrongthink or for punishing you for saying things that they don't like. That's what's enshrined in the Constitution. It doesn't say, oh yeah, and you can say whatever you want in a business, especially Star Trek Discovery writer's room, and if they try to fire you, then you're covered under freedom of speech. Unfortunately, I didn't see that in the First Amendment. What I did see in the First Amendment was specifically talking about how if you give a an opinion like the U.S. government shouldn't prosper or something like that, you couldn't be locked up. Or if you do any of one of 100 things. That's why I'm glad I live in the United States and not Scotland, the United Kingdom, Germany, any real European Union country, because it allows me to say things and the government won't come after me. But I can still say something stupid and be punished for it at my work. That's not enshrined in the Constitution. Mary Makanami, I know your name. I say it 1,000 times. Helping out the channel. Again, guys, the only way I survive is through Super Chats, PayPal donations, tip donations, Patreon, and viewers like you. She says, if the like button is gray, it is lonely. Please smash the like button and end the like button's loneliness. That is true. That is true. It is very lonely. A gray like button is a sad like button. Anthony McGregor says it also stops the government from forcing you to say anything positive in their favor. That is true. That is absolutely true. It also defends, I believe it defends news agencies as well in their autonomy, even if Trump's trying his best to stop that. Second Fleet Actual says, what I'm saying is first, protections against legal action, but free speech is a concept that is a part of our culture. Well, I agree, but I mean, again, I don't think free speech in businesses is a part of our culture. Maybe we fundamentally disagree on that. But I would say the lore fan dance. Yes, I'll do a lore fan dance. How can a writer be allowed to put the word in a script but not use it to relate an incident in his life? You know, Michael Wells, I do find those things fundamentally different. If I am telling you about something that happened in my life and I use a slur, that's different than me having a character be called that slur and experiencing it. I understand what you're saying. So let me go back and say this when it comes to specifically speaking about what occurs in your life. I think it's close. So I can understand what you're saying. I just think they are fundamentally different, ultimately. And I think one can be allowed and one can't. No such thing as I see what you're doing, Alan. I see what you're doing there. But anyway, you know, and again, it's an unpopular opinion, but it's an unpopular opinion, but I think that what happened was right. And if he had gotten fired for it, I think it would have been an overreaction, but it would have been well within their rights to do. Ax Menatitan says, have you heard about the upcoming Battlestar Galactica reboot? I have. What is your opinion on it? I am hopeful. I honestly wish they would stop with the reboots. I would love to get more original, I'm going to use that word lightly, original work. But I always want things to go well. In series I liked, I want Battlestar Galactica to do good, so I'm hopeful about it. I want season 3 of Star Trek Discovery to do well, to be, good. So, I mean, those are just my opinions. David Deister, I saw your recent video, and in your previous video on the second Battle of Deep Space Nine, I compared it to the Battle of Hoth from Empire Strikes Back. I vaguely remember that. I'm not sure. You may have to remind me a little bit, but I think I agreed with what you said. I don't give a frack about some guy saying the N-word. From where I stand, this is just one step closer to getting Discovery canceled. Well, I mean, it is quite possible. It is one step closer. I'm not convinced of that personally. And if a lot of people say that, well, I don't care that they used a slur or the N-word. That's fair. I just don't get mad at people who do. I don't get mad at people who get upset about slurs or get upset about things that are said. I will get upset depending on how they react or what they think should be done to it. For instance, I generally am a huge free speech advocate myself. If someone gets upset at the N-word and they don't want people saying it, or they don't think the slur should be used, or they think that it looks bad, or they want to speak out against someone who uses it, I don't have any problems with that. When they try to make it illegal, when they try to say you can't do that, then I start having issues. David Deister, I saw your recent video, and in your previous video on the second battle of Deep Space Nine, I compared it to the Battle of Hoth from The Empire Strikes Back. David Deister, given $15. Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate the super chat. And you said that you didn't have to super chat. You know, David Deister, because you said it without super chatting it. If you want to expand on that, we can definitely discuss it. You don't have to super chat it, just at me so I can see it and I'll bring it up. But yeah, as I said, I saw it. I don't completely remember what you commented, but I agreed with it for the most part. He didn't use the word to attack anybody. It's impossible to have any environment where everyone is comfortable. I disagree, Michael Wells, whether you use it to attack somebody or not. I understand that it is a slippery slope, and I would say there are things that we can only go so far with it. But I do think I do think to say, well, if we ban one word or we say one word isn't acceptable, it's only a matter of time until we ban all the words. I think that's a continuum fallacy, which the continuum fallacy is, it falls under Loki's gamble. Ultimately, where does it stop? Where does it start being curse words and where does it stop being curse words? I'd agree there's some gray there, but we do know it when we see it, you know? They're rebooting Princess Bride and Saved by the Bell. Yeah, you know, and it's easy money for them. You know, people get really upset that they do all these reboots, but everybody watches it. Ultimately, for us to stop that, we would have to stop en masse from watching the reboots. I wish they would do something original. I do think there are stories that can be told, but I'm going to watch the Battlestar Galactica reboot. I will, even though I think they should do something different. So, indeed. I don't care about Star Trek Discovery returning. I'll personally avoid it like the plague. Okay. I'll stick to rewatching the original series, TNG, DS9, and Voyager. Yeah, I'm doing a breakdown of the original series right now. A couple of the episodes. Man, it's really interesting to see people who it's hard to judge the original series against other series because they break so much in there. The first episode, they go to Warp 1 right next to a planet, which should destroy both the planet and whatever they were over on the planet and the ship. It's just interesting. No one's going to stop, and it sucks, just like what happens with Battlefront 2. People said they weren't going to buy it. It didn't work out too well. Yeah, and that's, again, we just keep buying. It's like the Disney thing. Everybody complains that Disney is remaking all these movies, and yet we go all watch it. I've watched every movie that Disney came out with. I got 2 daughters. Why wouldn't I? And why would they not keep making it if people are going to buy it and watch it? UFG 2036 in the original series, Uhura said in the future they don't fear words. Sure. They also, sure, that's fine. First off, that's the future. Secondly, that's not consistent with some of the other things that happens in the original series or any of the other series. But that's not where we are right now. Even if that's the way it should be, that's not the way it is. And you can't make it that way by ignoring people's feelings, by ignoring people. I firmly believe Trump is in power because people were ignored, not because he's a good president, not because he is good at anything, but because people were ignored or were called fools. So if you're going to ignore their feelings when it comes to what you do impacting them, it's just going to have a backlash. So we're not there yet, even if that's the way it's supposed to be. White Weasel Gaming. That is an interesting name. On one hand, there is the slippery slope fallacy, but on the other hand, moving the goalpost is totally a thing that happens, a difficult conundrum to reconcile. I don't know, I need you to expand on that a little bit for me. Do I think Hollywood has lost the spark of creativity? I personally feel there is no originality. Yeah, and I would say that is due to a lot of what's happening in the corporate world. Lucas said it best, and I forget which interview he's in. For those who don't know, I'm actually in film school, and we're studying films and the background of it and everything. He said that he gave an analogy, is basically you have this young kid who is going to go and bet on slots. And so they give him $1 million and he needs to go bet on slots. And they try to make it so they don't lose money. So they tell him, you can't bet on black or you can't bet on 25 or whatever, however slots work. I honestly don't know. And so they ham fist people, and that stifles creativity. Because to make something creative, to make something great, you have to gamble. And gambling costs you millions to billions of dollars. And who's going to give that up, right? I'd love to see the old UPN shows come back, like Freedom, The Burning Zone, Homeboys from Outer Space, Nowhere Man. Would love to see a continuation of War of the Worlds. I don't really have a good opinion of UPN. That was a long time ago when I was a kid, though, so maybe I don't know. Maybe it was something different. VX Gaming, I completely disagree. Trump got into power because he took advantage of the system and communicated with the working class. Completely disagree. I would say that he did try to communicate and was able to get a message to the working class, but it was more the liberals, the toxic liberals, the far, far left, that said, if you agree with anything Trump says, you're a Nazi. If you think that there should be immigration reform, if you think that those who come into this country illegally should go back or should not be given citizenship, you're a Nazi, you're a horrible person, you're a racist. People like that did more for Trump than any pro-Trump advocate ever could. Discovery is doing more for Trump than Trump does for Trump. That's my opinion. I've noticed a lot of slow burn shows that flub the payoff. Quite a few of them were reasonably high profile too. I'd need more information on that, but I would agree somewhat, I think. By the way, 78 people watching, 47 likes. Hit that like button, guys. This is how YouTube works. The more people watch, the longer you watch, the more you comment, and the more you hit the like button, the more it shows it to different people. And if you want to bring more people in, the more people that come to these shows, the more I want to do them, the better conversations we have. I hate political correctness. It has gone too far. The Burning Zone, you might love that one. That was Jeffrey Dean, a.k.a. Negan's, one of his first series. It's about a smart virus that takes over bodies. Oh, I'd have to take a look at that. I would like to see a reboot of G.I. Joe. I don't think they would do a G.I. Joe the way you enjoyed it. I honestly, I don't think they would do it that way. Season 1 Sequest was great. I used to watch Sequest as a kid. I remember I'd watch Sequest, and not that you guys care about anything, because I mean, I just dance for you and tell you about Trek. But when I was a kid, I would put pillows and try to get different things and pretend like I was in the speeder of Sequest. I forget what it was called. You had the main ship, and then they had like speeders. I forget what they were called. Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed watching Sequest. But here's the thing. I may be looking at that through nostalgia. I might hate it rewatching it. Vile Mike wants me to do like for like. You in the wrong place for that, buddy. But I'm sure you have great... I think I'm actually subscribed to you, though. I think, Vile Mike. Pretty sure I am. I'll have to see. Can I go to your channel? Nope. I'll have to go take a look at your channel. I think I'm subscribed to you, though. They did a GIG reboot, but nobody remembers. Wasn't that reboot the one that they kill off the main character? The blonde guy? I don't know. I don't care if people say cures or not. What I do care about are people using cures. Are you talking about slurs, maybe? To the point where it's no longer intelligent or edgy? Okay. Ever read Fahrenheit 451? It's pretty much Star Trek in reverse. It's probably my favorite book of the time. I don't think I have. You know, so moving on for a minute. We can come back to this. I don't care. I think I'm going to do a follow-up video when it comes to the USS Centaur. A lot of people have made a lot of good arguments for the Centaur. In my recent Dominion War video, I kind of mock, and I honestly didn't really think about all that much. I was just using a line in the show because I wanted to talk about, you know, Cisco. But for those, bring you up to speed, I was talking about when they send the Jem'Hadar attack ship into Dominion space and how the Centaur follows them into Dominion space. And there's been a lot of good counter arguments to that. One of them was, it looked really odd to the Centaur, first off. So the Centaur, from what we can tell, may be more powerful than one single Jem'Hadar attack ship, because it just beats the hell out of that Jem'Hadar attack ship. It's also faster than the ship itself. And so you have the Centaur. Centaur is running patrol along the border. You see a Dominion ship that is coming out of Federation space. You see the Jem'Hadar attack ship. The Jem'Hadar attack ship sees you and keeps going. That's really odd. Why wouldn't it turn to fight you? Especially when we know that the Dominion crosses borders just to attack people. So this lone ship is coming from deep within Federation space and is leaving. What's going on with that? David Deister again helping out about the USS Centaur. Is it a ship from the motion picture era or pre-TNG? No, we're talking about the Deep Space Nine, Dominion War era USS Centaur. And, well, yeah, and it's the Centaur type. And so, the Centaur was an Excelsior kit bash, so I assume... Oh, I see what you're saying. About the USS Centaur, is it a ship from the motion picture era or pre-TNG? I actually think... Let me finish this, and then I'll come back to that. So you have that. So you have a Dominion ship trying to leave and not wanting to fight. That's weird. The Centaur is faster than the Jem'Hadar attack ship, and arguably stronger than it is. So why wouldn't you destroy it? Also, teach him a lesson. And he crosses the border, gets into a fight with the attack ship, and then when others come, runs like hell. And escapes, because we see the same ship in Operation Return. So why wouldn't he do that? And I guess I gave him too much. I'm going to do a follow-up, because I think that was actually a smart play on his side. I think the Centaur did the right thing. Now, is it a ship from the motion picture era or a pre the Next Generation? I'm curious where you guys are saying that it's motion picture or it's pre-TNG. I honestly think, and you say it's a retrofitted 23rd century ship. I'd be curious why you guys think that. We see the Centaur in DS9. To my knowledge, it's never shown in any other vessels. Well, let's look that up right now, actually. USS Centaur. As I always say, the Memory Alpha is a good resource. I wouldn't trust everything they do. Yeah, I don't think we ever see it before that, even in just monitors. The Centaur is a kit bash. They basically take a Miranda class and an Excelsior class and put them together. I personally think that the Centaur is a Dominion era ship. And I think basically what we see happen is what we see with the Federation. The Federation will take different parts of pieces, because when a Federation vessel is built in blocks, or it's built, what's the word I'm looking for? It's built where you can plug and play different pieces. Oh man, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not sure. But I think that any ship that's destroyed or any ship they decommission, they take parts of that and just put it on ships that need it, or build new ships. During the Dominion War, we know that they're getting the heck beat out of them. We know that the Dominion is beating them hands down, and there's a lot of destroyed ships, and and they need to make new ships and kit bash them. And so I think during the Dominion War, they took the Excelsior, they took the Miranda, and they stuck them together, and then they upgraded it. Modular. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, they're modular. And so I think that it was done during the Dominion War and upgraded. That's the only way you can explain how it is as powerful as it is. Even if it can't beat a Jem'Hadar attack ship, which I think there's evidence to show that it may be able to. Even if it can't, it can hurt them. And so I think it's upgraded. I mean, I would need to see evidence on that it came before it. You know, but that's just my opinion. I mean, I can understand where people think it came before, but it moves, and it looks like an upgraded ship. So most vessels, Miranda and Excelsior, don't move like the Centaur do, like the Centaur does. Looking at the Centaur, they could have put 2 more nacelles on it, and it could be a new Stargazer. I am not a huge fan of 4 nacelles. I think they should have kept it to 2. In my head canon, Centaur, Jaeger, Raging Queen like ships are War Era and Universe kit bashes. I mean, Von Mike, Mislav's Portnov caught live. Congratulations. Always a pleasure. You didn't catch me live. I came on because I knew you'd be there, buddy. I came on because I knew personally that you would be there. But yeah, you know, I think that's what happened too. I'd agree that a lot of that was put together because they just needed ships. That's what I think. The thing that just boils about the third battle of DS9 is that Starfleet didn't amass a fleet to retake DS9 immediately when they clearly could have and should have. Immediately after, I'm not sure, because immediately after, the Dominion goes on the attack. And just beats them back all the way to the Vulcan border. It's fun, you know, and they do. You guys just need to rewatch the series. A lot of people's like, they never say the Vulcan border. They do. They clearly do. I cannot wait till that episode. But I think that they should have had a fleet at Deep Space Nine, and that they should have tried to defend Deep Space Nine. If UFP Ambassador Worf returns, would love for his command ship to be an outfitted Galaxy class with a Defiant class hidden underneath the Star Drive section, and the saucer separates. It will have nacelles. I mean, that is a thing that could happen. That is very unlikely, but that is a thing that could happen. The thing that just boils my blood about the third battle... Oh, I already said that, Justice Hag. Backslide Dan helping out the channel. Thank you so much. If the Romulans are the Roman Empire, is Romulus exploded the fall of Rome? Does that open to Romulan Byzantinians? Romulan Justinians? Romulan Charlemagne? Holy Romulan Empire? That title alone justifies a lore parallel for me. You know, the fall of Romulus, at least in Star Trek Online, is interesting, and it does actually have a Roman feel to it, I think, though the reasons for Romulus falling is far different. I really think they're going to go Star Trek Online routes. What we're seeing really has a Romulan Online, or really has a Star Trek Online feel to it. So while it would be intriguing to have it fall like that, I don't think they're going to do it quite so much. I think it'll be close to what Star Trek Online did, which does have some Rome falling feeling. Um, I don't know a huge amount about Roman history though, but maybe it'll be the Holy Roman Empire. That'd be cool. The Holy Romulans Empire is called the Holy Corrosia Empire now. Okay. A Defiant as a captain's yacht. Yes. Will Picard cast only wear civilian clothes? As far as we can see, I don't see why they'd wear any other clothing. They're civilians. This isn't going to be a look at Starfleet, which in my opinion is a mistake, but we'll see where that goes. Seems like the Enterprise is the only ship in this sector when Earth is in danger. It is, in fact, the only ship in danger. And unfortunately, a lot of the upgrades are due on Tuesday on every one of them. What saved the UFP from total destruction was Odo and DS9 crew, because if Section 31 succeeded with their virus, then the Jem'Hadar would have destroyed everyone. I don't know. That would have been an interesting thing to see. They might have. They might have went crazy. I'm not sure. Thoughts on the USS Jaeger? I hate the Jaeger type. I cannot stand it. Corrosia. Yeah, I knew what you were... I remember Corrosia from Bird of Prey 5. I don't get too much deep in that. I know him and Anti-Tracker are doing this little thing versus each other, but I knew that was a reference there as well. Which war offensive is better, the Dominion DS9 or the Klingons from Discovery? Which war offensive is better? We don't know enough about the Klingon War. We didn't see enough. It was like Days of Our Lives for Star Trek. They didn't really tell us anything when it comes to the war, so I can't really compare to it. Which war offensive is better? That'd be DS9, because we actually see the war. I'm just saying that they just handed over the most strategic point in the quadrant over to the Dominion. I agree. I think that was a mistake. Jaeger, the hobo Voyager. Yeah, I cannot stand the Jaeger design. I don't know why I don't like it. I just don't. It just doesn't look right. Depends on how long you're singing.
It's just gonna be a short one. I'm gonna see how people respond.
Okay. Well, it has to be short. Go. We'll sing over here.
All goes wide on the mountain night. Got a footprint to be seen. A kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. The wind is howling like the swirling storm inside. Gotta keep it in, heaven knows I tried.
Yay.
Don't let them in.
Okay, end it. Don't let them see.
Yeah.
See? Can you tell what we like watching?
Yeah.
See? They loved it.
Yeah, I want to see, what, could you read some for me?
Yeah, they said hello, young lore. Yes, we do. See, they did want to hear you sing. Sing on. See? They loved it.
I know lots of people like Frozen.
Who doesn't? All right.
Communists.
That's right. Communists
That's
only.
an ongoing joke.
It's an ongoing joke that they didn't know about till now. Yep, for those who are ever curious, when we say who doesn't like X, we say communists. Communists don't like X, because that's what I said when I was a kid. Run away with the Coke. Oh, no, there's no Coke in it. I don't drink Coke, actually. Nice singing. They said nice singing. Yeah, I'm going to get Disney content ID'd. My daughter is 15 and still sings when I try to work. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it doesn't bug me. I'm a package, yo. So anyway, what were we talking? We'll probably end it fairly shortly. No, you guys liked it, so you can't be the communists. I remember a quote from Patrick Stewart saying that he would bring back Picard for only a good reason. I wonder if there is something they're not showing, or there is a reason, or if that's a big fat check. I think that Picard is going to bring it back, and he is going to believe that it is for a good reason. I don't know if we're all going to agree. The thing about Picard, or Jean-Luc, Sir Patrick Stewart, people forget is he is massively liberal. So far left. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's brought over that way. Only good commies are the ones converted to healthy, classic, liberal ideas. The sock dims. I'm going to do SDF Macross. I don't know if I'm going to do Gundam. How about we blame the... What? Why was that hidden? I mean, maybe. How about we blame... Oh. How about we blame the communists instead of the Nazis, says Al Weifu. Okay, I guess. They're not the same? Just kidding. If you're a communist, I'm joking. In the middle of watching Discovery, and I realized that it's unintelligent. Well, there you go. Broken eyes for raising good communists disliking kids. Oh, it's a joke, people. I know that communism is more accepted, or there are communists and stuff, and it's supposedly not the evils that we were taught when we grew up. So it's just a joke. Calm down. I think the reason is an integer followed by many zeros. Okay. One of these days we will get lore to go back to B5. One of these days I will go back to Babylon 5. They certainly said that the Dominion had taken Beta Z, so close to Vulcan. Definitely. I am only 5 minutes back. What's up, Jane? Yeah, they well, I mean, it was before that. It was before Beta Z was even taken. It was like the 3rd or 4th episode into the Dominion War. They were on the Vulcan border. That's what's discussed. It is there. I still think Picard is no longer in the original series, TNG DS9 Voyager timeline. This might be set in the First Contact timeline, with Enterprise becoming the spearhead with Star Trek Discovery as its 23rd. That is not how it works. It's all in the timeline. If you headcanon it, Commander Sloan, that is fine. Do you, buddy. But it's all canon, according to the people who get to decide that, and it'll happen. All govs like forking us up. Yeah, I'd agree with that. With Picard coming soon, what if the Doctor becomes his emergency command hologram persona? They'd have to explain why he looks old. They can't make him look that young, which he would be. You know? All right, guys, we're going to end this soon. Do we have anything else we want to talk about before we end it? I hate the Kelvin timeline. I don't mind it for what it is. I think the Kelvin timeline is... by the way, thank you so much. I didn't point this out. Backslide Dan, as well as Broken Eyes, guys, thank you so much. It's the only way we can keep the channel going. You know, as a standalone, I think it's interesting. It's interesting to look at it from a different light. I like it for it being its own thing. Good old gamer. I don't like the show, so it's a different timeline. Gets old. Yeah, Commander Sloan's good people. I don't necessarily think he believes... he looks at it like that. I think, and I think Commander Sloan and I have talked about this, plus there have been videos about it. I don't agree with the arguments that show First Contact or Enterprise change the timeline. I don't think they're stupid, though. I think people who make that argument... I can see what they're saying. I just disagree with it. Commander Sloan, I kind of like the Dominion power structure. At least they keep the peace. If one of their members attack another, they will deal with it. Yeah, you know, and I'm going to discuss this, Commander Sloan. That's a good point. I'm going to discuss this in the next Dominion War video. As long as you play by the Dominion's rules and you don't want to overthrow the Dominion, they leave you alone. In fact, it's a lot more prosperous. It's a gilded cage, but it's a gilded cage where everyone interacts with everyone. Everyone is forced to trade with everyone. They go out of their way to make you comfortable to the degree that's required to keep you sated. A lot of your freedoms are removed, but it's not necessarily it's not a bad living. It's just a gilded cage. In Star Trek 4, they went to warp in Party's atmosphere. Okay, well, they should all be dead. In the second episode, some consider the first episode of the original series, they go to warp in warp 1 in a planet's atmosphere and should be dead at that point too. The Romans kept the peace too. You don't have to like us; you just have to obey us. Yeah, it is a very Roman feel. I think the Dominion are very Roman. Romans, I don't know a ton about Roman lore, but I do know that they were okay with you believing whatever you wanted to believe, worship whatever gods you wanted to believe. You just again had to be okay and pay tribute. And as long as you played by their rules, you could even have your own government, and then they would help you manage stuff. That I mean, when you look at the Bible, that happened with Jesus, right? I don't want to get too much into biblical literature, but my understanding is when the Jewish heads, we're just gonna go with Jewish heads. It's too late. Got into it with Jesus. They went to Rome to have Rome take care of their issues, and Rome was like, "All right, well, we'll handle this to the degree that we want to handle this," even though, according to the literature, Jesus didn't do nothing. Jan Negre says, "Okay, I believe you about the Vulcan. Have to watch it again." I don't know what you're talking about, Jan. Romans integrate the god of others between their gods. Well, that's what the Christians did too. It's a very effective way of doing things. They always go to warp on star systems. In TNG, they did an episode about the warp drive was causing damage. Yeah, you're not supposed to. Generally, most the Sanhedrin. Yeah, right. X. Most episodes and most videos, most episodes discuss how warping within a system is a bad thing and will get people killed. There are a few episodes here and there that say it's okay, but generally it's not. Thoughts on the whole DS9 Babylon 5 plagiarism case? DS9 lost my respect over. You know, Paul, this comes up ever so often, and I've discussed it in depth. There is not a lot of similarities between Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5. Both Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5 happen at gates, and then they have outward enemies, and they have a character named Dukat. It doesn't really seem very similar to me. Lore Runner has a theory that makes a lot of sense to me, which is when they pitched Babylon 5 and it was rejected, the people who rejected Babylon 5 and the people who wrote Deep Space Nine are two separate entities, but they're in the same building. And they may have corresponded with each other, and it may have inadvertently happened. That seems like the best explanation for me. Either that, or they decided, hey, we like this concept and the name of this one character, and then they widely changed it. Oh, they both have a Lita too? Okay. They both have a Lita. I said, okay, they got a Dukat and a Lita. I forgot that. Wasn't Lita the one who was the telepath, and then they decided to get rid of her, so she was actually an undercover agent or something like that? In Babylon 5. So I don't really have I don't see a lot of the similarities personally. Jesus was very political during his time, at least what we know. He was a real person and was a major proponent against both the church at the time and Rome, so they just swept it under the rug. Okay, I'll wait for that is an interpretation. Sure. You're also supposed to have an even number of warp nacelles. Yes, UFG. I agree. Star Trek is inconsistent. Who knew, right? I agree that they don't stay consistent a lot.
If you have a Waffle House, you need to have waffles or it won't make sense.
Yes. All right. If you have a Waffle House, you need to have waffles, or it doesn't make sense. Not sure where that came from. Oh, was the telepath? Okay. Oh, was for that from Talia Winters? Okay, I had the character wrong. Who was Lita then? Who was Lita in Babylon 5? Okay, I don't care. I love Babylon 5 and DS9. Okay. Who else is hoping that the original series Romans with guns show up in some of the new series? I doubt that'll happen. Lita Alexander was enhanced by the Vorlons. Oh, was she the one that replaced Talia then? Is that what I'm thinking? Who was it? See, now I'm going to have to look it up. Babylon 5. Lita, spelled differently, too. Lita is a character from the fictional universe. Yeah, she is. She was the replacement. Oh. So that's an interesting thing, though. So Lita came after Deep Space Nine. You know, so here's something that'll make you mad. You ask me about Babylon 5 DS9. Babylon 5, I don't want to say they stole quite a bit, but they definitely copied or paid homage to quite a lot of things. I've watched the series twice, and there are a lot of things I can pull from Deep Space Nine or Star Trek in general that they put in Babylon 5, and other sources that they've used, and Lita came later after Lita had already been introduced in Deep Space Nine, so that could not have been stolen. If anything, it was the reverse. They took the name, and I don't even think Babylon 5 stole the name Lita. Lita is the Babylon 5 pilot. Lita is not the Babylon 5 pilot. Lita is the telepath. I see it right here on my screen. Let's see when she came in. Babylon 5 Lita. Because maybe I'm wrong on when she was introduced, but I'm almost 100% sure she came in later. First appearance, Babylon 5 The Gathering. Babylon 5 The Gathering, Earth Alliance officers, February 27, 1993. Hunt an assassin on a huge one. Yeah. So that was after both of them had started. Unless I'm stupid. February 22nd, 1993. When did DS9 premiere? DS9 premiered January 3rd, 1993. Lita came in February 22nd. So, it was a month later. It was a month late. No, it was a month later. Disproven. Hashtag lore is right. Okay, well, she was in the pilot then. That's fine, people. I stand corrected. I'm going to look up on Hulu if Babylon 5 after the stream. Explain Battlestar Galactica to me. I don't care about spoilers. Battlestar Galactica? That, talk to you later, David Gorman. Have a good night. Battlestar Galactica is basically humanity created robots. Well, the colonists created robots, Cylons, to do their bidding. This is the rebooted. The Cylons to do their bidding. Cylons rebelled. There was a war. The war was called off by the Cylons for some unknown reason. Cylons come back, kill 99% of humanity. A few ships escape, and they hunt those ships into oblivion. Oh, so they were upset when supposedly DS9 stole from Babylon 5, yet no one bats an eye when StarCraft steals from Warhammer 40k. Yeah, isn't that always how it goes, Pony? Talk to you later, Paul. I'll be finishing soon anyway. Thanks for coming by, buddy. I do think we're going to be ending it here, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to try to do more of these. No videos coming out today. But don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Guys, I'm going to see you on the next Lore Reloaded.